Hi guys, Zangiefsgym here. I am Timothy and you are watching video 4.0 in my series on how to fight Zeku with Zangief. So this is 4.0. I'll be covering Zeku's V-skill move called Fukuro. Now just a quick note, when you're playing the old version of Zeku, which is who I'm covering right now, this V-skill is called Fukuro. But when you're playing the younger version, it has a different name, but it's the same attack, it just has a different name because basically what happens is well, it's a slightly different attack, but it's done the same way. It's medium punch, medium kick, and what happens is if you're the old version, you transform into the young version as part of this move. But then when you do it again, you go from the young self back to the old self, back to the old Zeku. So that's how that works. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what the move looks like. There's two variations of it. Basically, you can hold a direction arrow toward your opponent and get one result, and then you can just press no direction arrows at all and get a different result. So I'm going to show you the first recording is going to be without pressing any buttons at all. It's just pressing the two buttons needed to do the move. I'm not going to press any direction arrow, but this move does have two different movements just because you can press the direction arrow. But all it really does is teleport you on the other side of your opponent. Okay, so let's look at that. Alright, so that's if you don't press any direction arrows. Okay, now see how he transformed? Alright, so when you do it, that's the Fukuro. When you are the old Zeku and you press the medium punch, medium kick, you do that attack and you automatically by default are transformed into the younger version. Then when you would go back to the old man, and you notice the attack is slightly different, right? When you're the old man, you hit upwards, and then the young man appears in the mid-air and hits down Zangief. When you play the old man, when you play the young guy and you do the same button, the same attack, it's now a straight-on punch, and there's no knocking him in the air. There's no pop-up attack. It's just a straight-on dashing punch, forward punch. That's all it is. So basically, if you're knocking him in the air, you must be playing the old Zeku, and then if you're basically just knocking him back with a straight punch, then that means you were in the young Zeku form when you did the attack. Okay, so that's the difference between the two. I hope I didn't confuse anybody. As you can see here, if you look at it a couple times, the old Zeku hits into the air. The young Zeku hits straight on. See that? See that? So there's no pop-up. So when you play the old man and you do this attack, you can pop him in the air and juggle your opponent. So the old Zeku has a juggling aspect to this V-skill move, okay? Whereas the younger one does not. The younger one is more of a straight knockdown. Okay, I think we've cleared that up enough. Now look at it with the direction arrows. I'm just going to reset this. This is with the forward direction arrow. This is the only other option. Okay, see what happened there? The old Zeku knocked him up, and then the young Zeku appeared on the opposite side of Zangief, knocking Zangief back down, similar to where he first was. Now let's watch the younger one. See that happened there? Now the younger one, he hits from one side, and then the older one appears on the opposite side, knocking him back. So basically, as soon as you press forward to use this move, you end up on the other side of Zangief. You knock Zangief back down to where he just was. See, that's kind of, or even knock him further almost, back to where he was. The difference between the two, really. If you don't hold a direction arrow, you just keep hitting him the same way. Like Zeku would hit me here, and then I'd be up here, and then the new guy would come in and he would hit me in the same direction. So I'd always be getting knocked in the same direction. As soon as Zeku starts using direction arrows, holds forward, then he hits me on this side, I get hit on this side, on the left side, and I get knocked back here. I hope that's kind of making sense. We're trying to move Zangief in the direction that Zangief would get hit. So Zangief gets hit here, while Zeku's holding the direction arrow, forward direction arrow. So I get moved back just a little bit, but then when I get hit in the air, that's when I really get they really get the crushing blow. Then I get knocked back over here somewhere. So it's all in relation to where you really want to knock your opponent when you're using this move. That's the only thing you have to be aware of. If you're doing the neutral version without any direction arrows, you'll be able to move your opponent in the same direction. If you use a direction arrow, then you're going to change the direction of where you knock your opponent. So you can knock him back. So if I'm on this side, Zeku uses a direction arrow as an option, then he's actually going to place me more on this side of the screen. Which, you know, other than the element of surprise, I don't know really what else would be the big thing. Other than the obvious, right, is to put Zangief in the corner, right? If there's an opportunity where we're both near the edge or something, I'm positioning, he might need to use a direction arrow to get me knocked down, so that when I hit, I'm in the corner. And that's exactly where he wants me. So that may be what he ideally does. It's just depending on the situation. If we're mid-screen, then he can kind of just do whatever he wants. He may just be more focused on his combo at that point and less focused on the direction that I land. So it's all in what the opponent wants to do with you as to which version of that move they use. But just be aware of that. This V skill does have two variations to it. A normal or a neutral, and then a forward direction movement which knocks you in a different direction. So instead of knocking you in the same direction, it will knock you in the opposite direction. So kind of changes things up. So that's kind of the mix-up, sort of like a mix-up possibility there. So that's pretty much it for Fukuro. This V skill move. And this is really it, because all he has is a V guard, which we're all familiar with that. I don't really need to cover that. That's just holding guard and then pressing forward. And in his case, all three punch buttons at the same time. That's just a V reversal, excuse me. That's all that really is. So I'm not going to cover that, but this is it for his V skill move, Fukuro. He has two V trigger attacks, but I already covered them because they were listed under a special attack as a special attack. So I covered them under 2.8 and 2.9 if you want to check them out. So the only thing I'll do with Zeku, the old Zeku, the only thing else I'll do at this point is basically later, a little bit later, and I've got the young version of Zeku as well to cover. So that's all coming up pretty soon, guys. So thanks so much for watching.